You both for your service. From my point of view, I'm sure every organization makes mistakes, and if anybody has abused these programs to spy on their spouse or to spy on their neighbor or to do something in that fashion, I hope they go to jail, because I think most of the people in the NSA would like that outcome, because that's not exactly what you're there to do. Do you agree with that, General Alexander?
Senator, I agree that they should be punished, and depending on the action, how far.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the appropriate punishment
Right.
is, but they're outliers.
That's right, Senator. In fact, 2 of them were done under field grade Article 15s.
Right.
And
right.
when you actually look at what they did, you can see that, okay, we trained them. They immediately did something wrong. They got no return. Oh, by the way, they just asked the question. They didn't get information back, but they did it wrong, and they were held accountable.
Good. The point is that when you do things wrong, you should be held accountable. When you do things right, you should be appreciated. I think both of you are trying to do things right to protect our nation, and I appreciate everybody that works for you, because I know many of them, and they're patriots as much as anybody who criticizes the program. And all right, did you tell the President of the United States what you just told us, that because of the government shutdown that our nation is less secure?
Yes, I did.
What did he say?
I discussed it yesterday.
Well, you scared the hell out of all of us. At least I'm scared. When you're telling me that 70% of the NSA is unable to go to work, not because they're necessary, but because of the statutes, the way it's worded, both of you have made very clear presentations to this committee that the government shutdown in a post-9/11 world is making this nation less safe. Is that right, General Alexander?
That's correct, Senator.
Is that right, Mr.
Absolutely.
Clapper?
Yes, sir.
Well, to Mr. Gibbs, who told the President, his political advisor, former press secretary, he advised the President to just watch the shutdown. Do you think that's a responsible thing for the President to do as Commander-in-Chief, to not negotiate or just watch the shutdown?
Well, I'm not going to like to
Well,
avoid
you don't have
I
to.
don't like to avoid the.
I'll give you my own opinion. I think it's irresponsible for all of us to let it continue, but where the hell is the Commander-in-Chief? If you really told him that our nation is less safe, and every day that goes by, we're being less capable of detecting potential terrorist attacks against the homeland, and the approach is to just watch time go by, why aren't the members of the House and the Senate in the White House right now to try to solve this problem? One of 2 things are true. You're telling us the truth, and the federal government leadership on both sides ignoring it, particularly the Commander-in-Chief, or you're overstating the case. I think you're telling us the truth, so I'm not even going to go down the road you're overstating the case. But I want the American people to know there's shutdowns before 9/11, and there's shutdowns after 9/11, and there's a huge difference. And for the President of the United States, for our House Democrats to not negotiate is irresponsible. For our Republican Party not to try to find a way to end this mess is irresponsible. So I hope that the President will do more than watch. Now, about 9/11. General Alexander, if we had the technology and the programs in place today, before 9/11, what would be the likelihood that we have detected that attack?
Senator, in my professional opinion, it would have been very high.
You agree with that?
I do.
I am here to tell the American people, if we had in place today, before 9/11, the 19 hijackers who were here in the country, most of them in legal status, talking to people abroad, we would have known what they were up to. We would have known why the guy was just taking flying lessons to take the plane off and didn't care about the part of the flying lessons to land it, which was kind of odd to me. I want to pay for flying lessons, but I don't care to learn to land the plane. So at the end of the day, my question to both of you is simple. Let's reform this program where it's gotten out of line. Let's be sensitive to the political liberty, to constitutional rights we all have. But here's my question. Is what's being proposed in terms of reform, will it make us less able to detect the next 9/11? Are we going back to that pre-9/11 mentality? That's the question for me. Is the Congress taking us back to a time when we could not pick up a threat that was right in front of us?
Well, Senator, there are several proposals that have been proposed in the form of bills, and I guess our basic reaction to this is we are open to changes to make this more transparent, for more oversight, but in doing so, we don't want to overcorrect such that we lose the operational utility and the agility of these
Yeah,
programs.
same for you, General Alexander. Will you tell me when you think we've crossed that line?
Senator, absolutely. I feel it's my responsibility to tell you and the Director of National Intelligence and the President if
Very
you're going to hurt
quickly,
us.
about the times in which we live. Are there active efforts by terrorist organizations to penetrate the United States?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes,
Do you
sir,
believe they're-
as we speak.
Do you believe there are people probably already here as part of a fifth column movement?
There are there's sleeper presence. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't call it a unified fifth column. There are various entities.
Fair enough, and I'll end with this thought. My goal is to make sure that if a known terrorist, Zawahiri, who took bin Laden's place, if he's calling someone in the United States, I want to know who he's talking to. Is that a fair thing for me to want for my country?
Yes, sir, and I think it's a fair requirement for any citizen.
And is it also fair to say that before you can keep the content or do something with the content, you have to get a warrant? Last thought. Are we at war as a nation with radical Islam, or are we fighting a crime? And what's the difference when it comes to gathering intelligence between fighting a war and fighting a criminal enterprise?
Well, one difference, it's more of a tradecraft difference, is the evidentiary standard that we struggle with, since we're dealing with wispy hints, bits and pieces of information that probably doesn't necessarily meet the probable cause standard. That's another consideration we have with changes to these laws.
Senator, I do believe it's a war on terrorism, my words, and that what we are seeing today is going to get worse with what we're seeing go through the Middle East, what's going on in Syria, the actions in Iraq over the last week, and in Afghanistan. In the week concluding 23 September, 972 people were killed in Kenya, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, and over 1,000 injured. And when you look at the relative safety we have here, it is no accident. It is the work of our military and our intelligence community keeping this country safe. And we need the tools to do that.
Thank you, Senator Graham. Senator Frank.